Hi everyone, this is Erin from Sandpaper Road and welcome to another edition of Use What You Have Card Making Edition. And today we're looking at different techniques for using embossing folders that you already have. We're going to jump right into it and I'm going to start with a card base. I know this is white on white, but actually hopefully you'll still be able to see okay. There will be some variety later on. So I've got a card panel and a card base, and what we're doing is in this video I would like to stretch your idea bank more than just the card panel plain on top of the card base. So as you know, we're just going to start with the card panel inside the embossing folder, in between two plates, inside your embossing machine. As you know, if you're new to this, that's as easy as it gets. That's your lesson, okay? And then you have a nice embossed image. And much of the videos that I'm seeing and tutorials I'm seeing are just versions of putting a panel. Look at that nice panel with, I don't know if you can see the pattern, but the nice embossed pattern right on top of a card base. And versions of that, well, I've got a few more ideas that'll stretch that. What you can do is instead of just putting it over top of the whole thing and then decorating over top of that, why not just cut this up and use it on a few different cards? Still use the idea of the full card panel, but combine it a little. Why not do a solid piece with an embossed piece? Let me show you what I mean. And here you have the same embossed piece right here, but what I did was I took a full card panel that was smooth. I cut the embossed piece in half and I glued half of it on the card panel. Then inside my card, I cut a little slit right here and put a ribbon through it with a little hardware, a stamped sentiment, some flower embellishments, and a nice little, I guess it's a buckle, I've had it forever in my stash. And then to cover up the seam where I put the ribbon, two pieces together, I just put another embellishment there and a sentiment on the inside. Isn't that nice? But I really like the idea of the embossed sentiment here, or the embossed image just not taking up the whole card. So you're still using this, but think about it, you can get twice as many uses if you use just half of it at a time. That's also handy if you're doing like mass producing cards, so you could make two at the same time of the same type. Another thing you can do is, and we'll bring the machine back into the picture, is I don't know if you've seen these 3D embossing folders, and this is like the only one I have, but you can combine this idea of using half like I was just talking about, and instead maybe use a third and combine different designs. So I had this idea here. I thought that we could do an embossing, metallic cardstock. It's pretty thin, as a matter of fact. Okay. And we'll just run, now let me try to remember here. Do we do it like this? Let's see which one we do. I think we do it like this. Yeah, you can feel it with your machine. Okay, so with the metallic cardstock, this is like this metal looking 3D embossing folder. Isn't that cool? And it comes out like that. Now I've made projects before where I simply just put this down on top of the card panel, the card base, and then just build around it, and that's fine. But sometimes it's tricky to build on top of, and sometimes I want to make more use of my supplies. So if I want to use this, I'm going to think outside the box a little bit and dig this one out too. This has like clocks and stuff. So now I can make a panel of this. It's really just, like I said, making more use of the supplies that you already have. Because sometimes we forget about all the different things that our embossed images can do. I don't know why we get in this rut of we just think that like once you've embossed it, then that's it, you know. There's no other possibility besides the card panel. But what you can do here is if you cut, like, it's the same idea as this one that I just showed you. Leave a little space on the top for a sentiment and do like a third, and then a plain space. For example, here's what I did. Let me show you how I did it. So here I have like a third of it. Do you see is that clock embossed image? And then there's the other third right there of the metal. Now, yeah, I covered some of it up, but it's really cool to just see like some of it, just hints of it in there, you know? And then this is just a strip of scrap paper that I had. And this is all other just cut aparts and fussy cut images that I had already. So nothing brand new there. Okay. That's a nice card right there. And you could just see the embossed images as part of it. We don't have to make it just so complicated. Another thing that you can do is you can use the scraps of, let me move this out of the way. So once you have this, if you're only using a third of it, you know, you can look and even cut this up. It's just paper. And maybe I just want to use just this little bit of it, you know, as a neat little accent. It still has that kind of look of, how did you do that? You see that little accent? Of course, I did just a quick job trimming that, but you could add that to another card, for example. I'll show you a sample of that in just a minute. The next thing I want to bring to your attention is using, where's the one, this one. Sometimes you're not quite sure what to do with an embossing folder that has just so much texture other than just creating a background. But again, let's think outside the box a little bit. Maybe you have some stamps that in the stamp itself, it could use some texture. So I have this great stamp that I got from Technique Junkies. I love it so much. And I always think, I mean, because it stamps black or whatever ink color I'm using, there's not a whole lot I can do with the texture if I wanted to add texture to like the hair or the beard or something like that. So what I did was after I stamped a whole thing, then if I stamp just another one on scrap paper, now watch this. Now you can cut out, I can physically go in and cut out just the hair if I want, okay? And this does take just a little bit of practice, but you do it just exactly, and I'm not being perfectly exact right now, but I have a finished one I'll show you in just a second. Okay, just like that. And it looks a little silly, right? And then you just run this through your machine like this, okay? We're going to give some texture to the already stamped thing. Okay, now when I take this out, now this is textured, okay, this little piece. Can you imagine the possibilities, folks? Honestly, can you imagine doing it to flowers or birthday present gifts or like anything that you, anything. And then when you put it back on top, you glue it back on top of a stamped image that you've stamped elsewhere. And now you have texture right there. And let me show you the card I made. Look at this. Look at this. Yes, I know. First of all, here are the little pieces of the scraps that I was talking about. It's just the scraps from the embossing thing, because on this one, I only used a little bit of it on this card. So now I can just use my scissors and just put them almost as accent pieces. And then I've got real brads in the background, which incidentally, I put the brads on the card panel before I glue the card panel down. And then if you can see real close, I did the man's beard and his hair, cut it out and then ran it through the embossing folder. I love that. I think it looks fantastic. I just love it. I have a lot of stamps that I could do with that. This one in particular, I was thinking of doing that with like the hat, or maybe the furry ball here, or the lining here, or even like the cat's body, anything where I could, it just is making me go back through all my embossing folders and be like, oh my gosh, I could totally use that. That isn't just a pattern. It looks like, you know, cat's fur, or it looks like this, or it looks like that, you know, whatever. So yeah, that's another thing. And finally for today, now I was thinking, I have, where's my embossing folder for it? Oh, this one, this music one. Now, of course, we're all familiar with this technique, right? You take, this is just a distress crayon, or you can use a gelato, or you can use a, like ink and an ink blender, right? And just go over top, lightly over top, to bring out the image, right? This is the music note little embossing folder that I have already. But again, you don't have to use, look, I could have used it right here. I could just add some right here, honestly, if I wanted to. It would kind of look good. Just finishing touch. I got distracted thinking about adding that in. Yeah, just that little bit right there, see? Just to enhance it a little bit and bring your eye to it. It looks fine. This is a Picket Fence Distress Crayon. It's really good for dark papers. But I only used, you could see I tore it because I only wanted to use part of it. So really, I think that the main theme of this video and these ideas today is to think beyond the card panel and think of just using part of the embossed image. Okay, here's how I finished off this card. This is actually where I tore it from. So I tore the half of it. I did a background panel there, and then another stamp on top and another stamp right here and a couple brads. So yeah, easy peasy. This one did not take me long. This was more fun than anything, especially because I got to use the magicals. How did I do that, you may want to know? Well, you can do it with a bunch of inks or whatever, just a little bit of ink and then water, and that's the end of it. I personally used magical powder. These were the colors I used. And it's literally like powder, if you haven't seen these before. I'm not trying to go into a whole big thing about these other things I'm trying to do with embossing folders, but I'll put the, if you're interested, I'll put a link in the description, okay? They're fun to use. So hopefully that sparked your interest in going back through your embossing folders. And let's see, which one did I use this one? Oh, you can even see just a little bit of the archival ink in there that got dried. Yeah. Yeah, this was fun. This was fun. I used 2 on this one, this time one, and this. I know there's some other embossing folders, and if you have any questions or like you want to see another video or some other things about other embossing folders maybe that I didn't show, definitely leave me a comment below and I'll make another video. Definitely open to suggestions. I love these use what you have videos, and apparently you do too. The last one I did most recently got an overwhelming amount of views, so I really appreciate all of the new viewers and subscribers. So thanks so much for tuning in. And like I said, leave a comment and let me know what else you'd like to see. What's something you have a lot of that maybe you'd like to see? What would I do with it? Or can I give you some ideas for stretching the things that you already have? Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. So now, if I have 2 of them, wait, what am I doing? There we go. Wait, what am I doing?